One common problem that many students feel like they experience with their exam answers is feeling like they're stuck almost in like a groundhog day with their chains of analysis. Namely, they feel like that no matter what the question they're asked or whatever the topic is that the question is on, they feel like they're giving the chains of analysis that result in the business making more revenue and the business making more profit. And they feel like they're giving that as their chain of analysis time and time and time again. And examiners are going to see through that. Examiners are looking for a more rounded development of analytical impact than just saying that something is going to create more revenue for the organisation and more profits. And what students are really sort of falling foul of is that they're only really giving the middle section of an analytical chain of impacts when they talk about revenue and profits. They're missing the beginnings and the ends of that chain. Now, if they'd have put the beginnings and the ends in, it would have created a little bit more diversity to their chain of impact, and would also give them greater opportunities to apply their chains of impact, which is an absolute key trick to try and get in to your exam answers if you're going for the highest grades. So let's have a look at a worked example here. Imagine we were set one of these cheeky little 9 markers that said analyse the benefits of branding to a clothing organisation like Superdry. Now, the first thing that we would have to do is to make a really solid point to answer that question. And another mistake that students often make is that rather than actually make a point to answer the question, they jump straight into the chain of analysis. So analyse one of the benefits of branding to Superdry, and students respond with, it will increase their revenue, therefore their profits will rise. We haven't actually made the initial point there. We just jumped straight into our chains of consequences. So we'll make a really solid point, first of all, and we can say branding may lead to an increase in Superdry sales volume. Because they've got a brand name, because they are now synonymous in the eyes of customers with a certain aspect of good service, could be quality, could be customer service, Superdry are now recognised as being differentiated from the other clothing stores out there and being synonymous with something, we can say that it'll increase their sales volume. Now, what we want to try and get away from is just saying, so one consequence of this will be that the business increases its revenue, and a follow-on consequence of that is that the business is more profitable. Let's start at the beginning. Let's give the context, the background to this chain of analysis. Why does the increase in sales volume result in more profit? Okay, let's go back a stage further then. So let's say, right, we increase the sales volume of Superdry. Well, the first thing we'll say is that Superdry will then have to increase their scale of production. You can't sell more products to customers without first manufacturing more t-shirts, clothing, garments to sell. So we can say, right, well, if we're increasing the scale of Superdry's production, the follow-on consequence of that is that they will experience greater economies of scale. And in this case, we could be more specific and we say that they would benefit from greater purchasing economies of scale. If they're creating more garments, then they will have to buy more cotton, t-shirts, whatever materials that these garments are made out of. They'll have to purchase it in greater bulks, so they'll benefit from purchasing economies of scale. That's great. Let's carry on just joining in these links in the chain, and we can say, okay, greater economies of scale is going to drive down Superdry's unit cost, the cost of producing one of their items of clothing. At the same time as all of these things are happening, Superdry are going to be keeping their selling price exactly the same. If anything, in relation to the question, if they're developing a stronger brand name, they might even be increasing their selling price. So we could say that we're increasing the scale of production, we're benefiting from greater purchasing economies of scale, we're driving down the unit cost, we're keeping our selling price the same. That is why the business may benefit from greater profits. So, benefits of branding to Superdry, profits is in the middle there. First of all, we could say, increase the scale of production, greater economies of scale, drive down the unit cost, keep our selling price the same, therefore we are making greater profits. But if we want to keep our chain going, if we want to elongate our chains of analysis and just show the examiners that we're really investigating this point from a 360-degree perspective, we could go on. We could talk about what might happen with those profits students. And again, this gives us a really good opportunity to apply some of our analytical impacts, because some of the things that the business might do with its profits might be very relevant to Superdry from what we might have read in the case study that we're given. So we could say, right, if profits are rising, first thing that might mean is that Superdry can retain more profit. And it might say something in the case study about new product development or expansions that they're interested in. And we could link this idea of retained profits being greater because the sales volume has increased, and link that point in and get some application going as well. We could also say that maybe the business's dividend payouts to shareholders will be greater now that our profits are higher. We could even say that if our dividends are greater, it will increase demand for shares in Superdry, and so the Superdry share price will increase as well. Again, that gives us those opportunities just to link it to things that Superdry might have specifically going on in their organisation. Maybe giving out greater shareholder returns is something that there's demand for from their shareholders. We might pick that up from the case study, and we can keep our chains of analysis nicely applied. Applied chains of analysis are really what the examiners are looking to award. If we're trying to give applied consequences of that, we don't just stop at profit. Maybe we pick up from the case study that making more profit is one of Superdry's objectives. So we could say, we make more profit, and this ticks off one of Superdry's corporate objectives that they're pursuing. So again, we're just keeping our analysis nice and applied, but at the same time, we're not stopping at profit. We're trying to elongate our chains of analysis and say what that profit might be useful for. Hopefully that's been of some service to you. Share it with your classmates, because analytical chains are an absolute key part of a successful exam for business students. Be great if you could hit the like button below. If you've got any requests for videos, throw them in the comment section downstairs. As always, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get all of the latest updates about new content as it becomes available. We'll see you soon for some more exam skills.